Knockout. The Decepticon weapon maker equips devastating new weapons with powerful, beast-based destructive capabilities. Now with Croc-a-Claw.
And you're watching eBEFOREi Video Reviews. Welcome back! Today we're taking a look at Beast Hunter's Transformers Prime Knockout, or CrocOut, as it were. Before we look at the figure, let's take a quick look at the technical specs. Okay, so his strength is a 6, intelligence an 8, speed is an 8, because it's Knockout, endurance is a 5, rank is a 7, courage a 4, fire blast 5, and skill is a 5. Alright, let's get rid of that. Now, on to the figure itself. This is one of those few figures that is every bit as ridiculous as it is cool. I mean, looking at this thing, the design here is really quite nice. I mean, you know, as you can see as I focus my camera, the paint is wonderful. I mean, it has that kind of dropped-in Beast Hunter swirl of yellow, so each one of the yellow bits are going to be a bit unique. Look at the grill here. I mean, those gold teeth, it's just awesome looking. You got yellow in those front headlights there. Look at the paint all the way around. I mean, that red looks wonderful. Not quite matched to the red bit in the back, but close enough. Now the Decepticon symbol looks wonderful. I mean, I'm really a sucker for a good symbol, and that's one right there. The tail section is every bit as absurd as it looks. You know, it just doesn't quite seem to work. It's got nice detail, but ultimately it looks like something's crunching on his butt. You know, it's just weird. It makes kind of sense in weapon mode. You've got that peg sticking straight up, which is odd. Again, I'm not sure. I know what they were trying to do, but I just don't think it was quite pulled off. Again, you've got that nice swirled in paint. The only thing, there's the underside view of the figure, so lots of stuff bunched up in there. We can go ahead and take that off by pushing in the spring piece. And looking at this weapon up close, it's kind of like a little mini dragon gator. I mean, that's really the best way to describe it. A little wheel underneath for when he's rolling around. You can unclip this piece, and there's a little chain inside. And you can undo that, and it kind of gives you more leeway to open up that mouth on the spring. So, you know, you can make him crunch around. Here's some more detail. You look inside, there's not really much to see here. Teeth on the top row and the bottom. The chain, you know, you can, swing it around if you want to. It's kind of the purpose. It's like a weapon that he can swing and whip into people. There's a few different things. There's a hole on top you can plug that into. You can also just crunch it back on his butt again and store it. Get in there. All right, so, what are you going to do? On the back, you don't have much paint, which can be seen as a negative, but again, I think I'm used to that. A little bit of paint yourself might do this toy wonders. But overall, I think that this looks really good in vehicle mode. One of my favorite features is that air vent on the side. I mean, it looks wonderful. The way it kind of comes out. You see the little bits inside the vent, so that's kind of neat. All that aside, let's get him transformed. You first want to hold him like an Xbox controller and just rip the legs down. But you want to give it a good pull, stretch him out just like that. Pull the legs apart, and twist these little heel bits just like that. Twisty, twisty, twisty. Pull down the feet, turn them around, rinse and repeat on the other side. Still got the pointy toe syndrome, but there you go. Now for the top of the car, you'll go ahead and separate the doors. Detach the peg, spin them around. You want to take this wheel and you want to just turn it just like that. Do the same thing over here. You want to take this top bit right here. And ultimately you want to separate those panels, the top headlight panels. You're going to get a head reveal by flipping down this piece right here. Pop! There you go. And at this point, you want to take this little piece. There's a plastic bit right there. You want to stick it inside the hole. That's what she said. Right there, you'll take the waist pieces, turn them inside, and we're nearly done. We just have to finish forming the arms. And to do that, you want to take this piece, you first need to pull out the hand. And then you kind of flip up the arm and kind of collapse it in on itself. When this toy first came out, this was kind of the unofficial arm transformation. Now the guy comes packaged that way, so that's what they want you to do. You'll do the same thing over here, pull it out, get this piece up, and kind of fold it around itself. You form the arm, and just twist it back into position. And from here, the top chest. In the original toy, I used to pull it up tight like that because that's kind of the way it was in the TV show. Here, you want to just kind of let it go down a bit more flat since there's teeth on his chest, and that just looks bizarre if you have it up too high. From this point, you're ready to stand him up and pose him up. And here, ladies and germs, you have CrocOut in his robot mode. Let's take a closer look. I'm really loving the way this overall package looks. I mean, let's start with the head. He does have some light piping, but there's not really any light coming through. I'm not even sure the eyes aren't painted. Nice detail all the way around. You can see the way that the teeth kind of hang over his chest, so that's a very cool look for him. Got a nice contrast of the yellow and the green inside of the waist. You've got also the red in the hips and the more yellow or goldish in the coracoid region. You've got these kind of light paint in the knees, back with the dark kind of maroon, and then the pointy feet syndrome, as I mentioned earlier. Outside of that, if you turn the guy around, I mean, I think the arms look really good, especially with those vents popping out. You can put the weapon in his hand, and we'll peg that in like, come on, like that. And that's just kind of chain whip with the croc face on it. You know, you can turn it any way you want. You obviously want to turn it in the way where the eyes are facing up. You don't have to. The wheel does it really no good. It doesn't have enough chain link to sit flat. So you're just kind of going to hold it there and like it. On the directions, you can see that the eyes make it look like there's, you know, a set on top so that you could have them with the underbite and still have that kind of dragony look to them. On the toy itself, it does have that. But the problem is that, as you can see it right side up, the eyes are painted. Flipped upside down, you got like the little eye sockets, but there's no paint. So it just looks like you got an upside down mouth. And, you know, kind of loses effect there. Now, if you want him to hold it like a gun, you just feed the chain back in, clip that back together, and stick it in his hand. And it makes a fine, crunchy weapon. Again, you still got the eye issue. But aside from that, it looks kind of cool as a weapon in hand. Now for weapon storage, you can stick this in his back, and there's 2 holes back there. You can stick it in the bottom or the top. My personal preference is to put it into the bottom hole, because when you look at him from the front, it's kind of neat with those croc bits kind of sticking up over his back, whereas if you put it back in the top, it's okay, it looks fine, but it just sticks up a little bit too far for my taste, personally. You see what I mean? It's almost like he's got bunny ears or fairy wings. You know, it's just, you can do it. You do whatever you want. It's your toy. But this one, it's my toy. And I prefer to not stick it quite up that high. Now, I won't get quite into all of the articulation with this figure on this video because I've reviewed this mold a handful of times on my channel. Same exact articulation as the first Knockout and the Takara version of Smokescreen, which is based off of the Knockout mold. And I'll post them in my video description so that you can take a look if you want to get a detailed idea of what his articulation is. So that was my detailed look at the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Deluxe Edition of Knockout. I do like this figure. I think it's so crazy and wacky that it just flat out works. At least it does for me. If you see this guy in the store, and he does seem to be in a lot of places right now, go out of your way, pick him up, and I think you'll be quite happy with him on your shelf. Thank you so much again for watching eBEFOREi video reviews. You can find me all over the place. I'm on YouTube. If you're not watching this video on YouTube, how are you not doing that? But my channel is youtube.com/eBEFOREiNet. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I'm facebook.com/eBEFOREi. And on Twitter, you can tweet me. Careful now. I'm at eBEFOREiNet. Thank you so much for watching. See you again real soon.
With Megatron missing, Predaking running wild, and the other Predacons wreaking havoc all over the Earth, Knockout begins to think it might be high time to vacate the planet in favor of somewhere less occupied by dragons. Luckily for him, Shockwave seems to have the same idea. The Decepticon scientist comes to Knockout looking for his expert help in packing up what remains of the destroyed cloning lab, including the final 2 hyper-evolution chambers. Knockout isn't entirely certain it's wise to be bringing cargo this dangerous with them, but he doesn't really care as long as Shockwave pays for his help by getting him off the planet. The Croc-a-Claw is fueled by consuming the crushed armor of enemies. The jaw is powerful enough to crush diamonds to dust. In vehicle mode, provides a tail slap attack powerful enough to knock Autobots off the road. That's right, I said slap attack.